Hello, everyone. So this video clip will introduce you to the concept of computer-assisted language learning, or CORE, as a field of study. And I think this is a really important foundation for you to understand before you get to understand so many other topics within the field of computer-assisted language learning. And the first part that I will talk, so I mean, in this video clips, I will divide the video clips into several short clips based on the topics, so you can follow them easily. So the first thing that I would like to talk about is online language learning. And I mean, this concept, you may be quite familiar with this concept by now, because I mean, you have been learning online, although not necessarily just learning a language online, but you were learning everything online for the past 2 years. But I think it's also good that we get to know the definition of online learning and online language learning in particular. So online learning is any form of learning conducted partly or wholly over the internet. Okay, so it can be fully online, like you study online for 100%, and it can also be what they call blended learning or blended model, where you spend some time in a face-to-face setting, and you also spend some time online. And in order for any types of learning to be qualified as an online learning, learners will use a computer, a tablet, or some other devices for their learning. And it also means that at some point in their studying, they have to go online to access information. Okay, so they need to go online to perhaps watch some video clips or do some exercises online, as well as communicate with an instructor. Like you need to communicate with your teacher, like me, or you need to also communicate online with other learners. And communication between teachers and learner can be synchronous. So it can be a live session where you can talk to your peers, your classmates, and talk to the teacher real time. Or it can be asynchronous, like you put something in the discussion forum and then you go and answer them. Now, the next point that I would like to talk about, and it's something that I think we need to get it right from the beginning, is that there are so many types of online learning, and the distinction is not very clear, but I'm trying to draw a clear line for you here so that you can understand it fully. So here, if you look at from the left end of the spectrum, we have face-to-face learning with no technology at all. So it would be like something that you see in the picture on the left, right? So a teacher walked into the room with a book, and the teacher asked the student to turn to this page, and then they read the books together and things like that. Some people may argue, some people may argue, of course, that books were the technology at the time. But I think when we use the term technology here, we are referring to something that is connected to some sort of CPU and have some computational power to process information. The second type of online learning is what we call classroom aid, okay, or classroom aided, the classroom that is aided by technology. I think this is what we were doing prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, where teacher were still teaching in the classroom, but they were using projector, they were using PowerPoint to assist their teaching of the subject, right? In the middle, we have something we call flipped learning. And flipped learning means that the content that is supposed to be taught in the class is put outside of the class. So learners would access the content and study the content in their own time prior to coming to the class. And when they come to the class time is spent on doing discussion or doing some more interactive activities, right? So with flipped learning, 100% of the course content is put online, and students study that content in their own time. And then they come to the class, and then they discuss ideas and share ideas with their peers and teachers in the class. Then we have something we call hybrid learning. And hybrid learning, it's pretty much, I mean, a lot of people still argue about what hybrid learning actually is. But I think by definition, hybrid learning means that 50% of the course content is taught face-to-face in the class. And the other 50% of the course content is taught online or is put online, and students study that in their own time. Okay? Whereas with learning activity and exercises, student would spend 50% doing exercises outside of the class, and student would also spend the other 50% studying, not studying, doing discussion and exercises in the class. So it's more like a hybrid model, okay, that you study some of the content in the class and you do some activities in the class, whereas you also study some of the content online and you also do some activities online. The last one on the right end of the spectrum, we have a fully online course. So it's like you study 100% online, so it's like you are studying from a MOOC, from an online course, and etc. Some people call it distance learning. I personally do not agree because I think when we talk about online learning, we are talking about studying it through internet, through the online platforms. Whereas distance learning, I think we are referring to the distance between the place of knowledge and the location in which the learners live. And distance learning started way before online learning. I mean, it started back in 1960, where people would study by post. They don't need to go to campus. They just buy books and read books, and they just write papers and submit paper through post, and they get the grades and things like that. So this is different types of online learning, right? So we have on the left end of the spectrum, like no technology at all, face-to-face. In the middle, there are some levels of technology involved, okay? And the degree that the degree of technological involvement, it's different in each types of learning. Like perhaps with Classroom 8, it's just using it to help. Like with flipped learning, you make use of the online platform to store content and so on. And then on the right-hand side, we have our fully online course. Now, that's the types of learning. The next point that I would like to talk about is not just the types of learning, but also the mode of learning, right? And when we talk about online learning, we normally combine different modes of learning all together. So on the left-hand side, we have a face-to-face learning. So it's like, so you go into the classroom and you study everything face-to-face. The next one is what we call synchronous learning. And I think it is what we have been doing, like you're studying the class live via Zooms and Microsoft Teams and so on. So I mean, the teaching and learning is happening at the same time, right? So the teacher have to be online and the student have to be online at the same time. The third one is what we call collaborative asynchronous learning. Okay, so for this type of learning it's not real time. So one example would be a teacher might pose one question in the discussion forum, perhaps in a Facebook group, and then students are given a week to answer that question. So it's not happening real time, it's asynchronous, but it's collaborative. So it requires learner and teacher to interact in some ways. And the last one is a self-paced asynchronous. So this one is it's not real time. So basically all the course content is stored in perhaps in an online platform. And then students would just go and study the content in their own time and at their own pace, and they are not required to participate in the course as well. So they can basically just watch video, complete the quizzes, and then they can finish. All right, so this is the first part of the video clip, okay, for this topic. In the next part, I will move from just online learning in general to computer assisted language learning. Okay, so I see you in the next clip.